Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jamie Rose. I'm a single 32-year-old living and working here in New York City. And today I thought I would answer some questions that recently came about in a talk that I did for a professor of mine. So a former professor of mine is a teacher at Kent State. She does their visiting program. So Kent State students come to New York City and they get to do internships and they get lectures from guests. And I've been doing this for her for a while. Now, I've been out of school for over 10 years now. I graduated from FIT, not Ohio, not Kent State, but I had this professor at FIT. She also teaches there. And some of her students had really good questions about living here in New York, working here in New York. Also, some career questions of mine that were kind of vague enough for me to be like, wait a minute, this, maybe some of you guys want to know about this. So to give you some background, I work as a marketing project manager for a major retailer. I have a degree in fashion merchandising, which is now fashion business management at FIT. I have been working only in the corporate route for 10 years now. I also did a year and a half of a corporate internship prior to working at the company I work at now. And I have lived in New York since I was 18, but as an adult, I've lived here for 10 years as well. And I've actually been in this same apartment for that long, which is so rare. So there were 3 distinct questions I thought would be great to answer here. If you are in a similar situation like me, maybe you're a little bit younger than me, you're looking to move to New York, work in corporate fashion. So the first question is, did you always want to go the corporate route? And the answer is yes. And to be very honest, because I wanted to work in merchandising, there really was no other route besides the corporate route. Unless you ended up owning your own business, there's not a lot of small businesses out there that have merchandising. My dream was actually to get into the Macy's executive development program, and I didn't. I got rejected from Macy's after the first round of interviews. So I really had to pivot and figure out, okay, what am I going to do? My internship, which was corporate, also could not hire me. Which was what I should have known when they had a lot of interns at the company. I was being paid though, that's why I stayed as long as I did. And they were very flexible with my college schedule. And then they let me come 5 days a week after I graduated college, which was really nice. But there was kind of no choice but the corporate system. And also keep in mind, I wanted to be a buyer. That's what I wanted. That was the career trajectory I was going to be on. And if I was going to do that, I was going to have to go the corporate route. Now, I do think it would be fun to eventually work for like a smaller business. There are so many great clothing boutiques on Long Island that I love to shop at when I'm home. And obviously like they buy merchandise, but I don't know if they have buyers. I think the owner like does all the work. But yeah, I always wanted to go the corporate route. And it's very interesting because my parents, my mom technically worked for a corporation, but my dad is a retired teacher, so he never did. And both my parents had union jobs, so they don't really understand a lot of what happens in my job as a corporate person. I just knew going into it, I wasn't going to have the same benefits that my parents got being in a union, which is fine. That does not bother me. The second question was then about my work-life balance working remotely. So I mentioned before, but I have been working remotely now for 5 years. I worked in an office for 5 years. And first off, I will say I like working remotely. It got very overwhelming and overstimulating to be in an open office for a long time. I worked in a cubicle at my internship, so it was very eye-opening to then go to an office where it was all open space. We sat very close to each other. I could reach out my hand and touch the person next to me, and I was like there was no privacy. I also got sick more. It just felt like everyone is watching you, which I really did not like. So working remotely, though, I had to find a balance of not just waking up and sitting at this desk where I'm sitting right now. I had to get a routine. I decided one morning, okay, I need to do a routine like I would if I was going into the office. I need to get up at a certain time. I need to eat breakfast. I need to take a shower. When I was working in an office, I used to get up at like 7 o'clock, 7:30, shower. I would have my outfit ready for the next day or for the day. I would bring breakfast to the office because I found if I ate breakfast before going to the office, I was too hungry by the time lunch came around. So I would bring breakfast or grab breakfast on the way. Have lunch by like 12 o'clock, 12:30, depending on meetings. My coworkers and I, we would do tea time, which was really fun at 3 o'clock. That was like our coffee break. And then I wouldn't be home till almost 8 o'clock. I usually would work till 7:30 because I work for a company that's 3 hours behind me. And being remote, that was a little challenging because I had now a little more autonomy to make a schedule that fit my needs before and after work because I had nowhere to go. And now most of me working remotely was during COVID, so I couldn't go anywhere. But it's been a little difficult because I do work for a company where I am on meetings because of the time zones. I'm sometimes in meetings until 6 o'clock, and it's hard for me to get out of the apartment and meet friends for dinner, even go to a Broadway show. I went to a Broadway show after work once, and I ended up working at the office because it was just going to be quicker for me to do that than trying to rush from my apartment to get to the show. So I find what I need to do after work, honestly, this is really bad. If I haven't been outside all day, I'll go and take a walk, but I usually will just go from my desk to my chair that you guys see, and I just brain rot. Now, I'm trying to be better about that. I'm trying to pick days where if I have a lot of meeting days, I'll make a point to go out in the morning and get breakfast and coffee and bring it back so I can get some steps in, get my sunshine. I will make a point to go out at some point during the day. So I can get outside. I can get fresh air. It's been hard this winter because we've had a lot of really frigid days, and there were some days where I had to, put leggings under my pants and wear a sweatshirt and my heavy coat just to go for a walk around the block, and it was really hard to get outside because it was so cold, but it would be sunny, so I'd be like, well, I want to get my vitamin D, but yeah, it's been hard for me to find a balance. I think I've just gotten a little too comfortable with being in my apartment and being alone. So I'm trying to be better about having a work-life balance. But the weekends that's when I do everything. That's when I go for my walks. That's when I have certain appointments. That's when I see my friends. And I think for my friends too, that has changed where like a lot of us are just really tired at the end of the day. Like most of my friends don't want to go to dinner during the week. A lot of them, they want to go to dinner on the weekends. That's just easier. Or they're like, hey, I'm cool to get up early and go do brunch. And I think now too that I'm older, like a lot of times, like next week I'm going to a friend's apartment and we'll watch a show or a movie, something that happened, or my friends will throw parties. Like I'm at that stage in my life where going out is like not really a thing anymore. But yeah, that was a tangent. And keep this video short. The third question they asked, which I thought was really great, was why did you stay in New York? So in 2020, I was actually supposed to move to Los Angeles. I got a promotion at work and I was going to relocate. This was in February, and then we know what happened a month later. As COVID went on, my boss's boss had a chat with me and basically said, do you still want to move? You're just going to end up working in another apartment. And I said, yes, I agree. I would prefer to stay. So I ended up staying. If I had moved, I was going to have to stay in LA for 2 years, which was fine. And the reason I wanted to move to LA was because at this point I was 28. I had been in New York City since I was 18. I wanted a change, and I kind of did want to get away from my family. I kind of needed to get away from my parents, but I ended up staying, as I told the students, because my family is here. My parents are getting older. My parents are in their 70s. I'm an only child. There's no one else to take care of them if something, God forbid, happened to me. My cousins are here. I was explaining to the students that being an only child, I'm very close with my cousins. They're like my siblings, and they're here, and we're very much a unit. And I have realized, especially now when I even go to Long Island, how convenient living in New York is. I don't need a car. I just need my own 2 feet. I just need an Omni card or my phone to tap into the subway, tap into the bus. I have everything I could ever want here. And where else can you go to a Broadway show on a random day? Where else can you go and do that? Yeah, maybe you could in LA or Chicago, maybe. But where else can you do that but New York? And here's the thing. LA is also expensive, like New York. I would have had to have had a car. That's an additional expense. I think I would have adapted and been fine. I also wanted to move to LA to be closer to some of my friends who were out there who I don't get to see. So that was a reason. But ultimately, like, I can't see myself living anywhere but New York. And I also want to preface the point of view of someone from Long Island who grew up coming to New York City is very different than someone who is not used to it. I'm so blessed that I got to grow up with New York City at my feet. It allowed my parents to have better job opportunities, allowed me to have better job opportunities. When I was in high school, I got to go to Broadway shows. My middle school just went to go see The Outsiders. And I got to do things like that in middle school and high school. And thank goodness my parents loved theater and I got to come here. And from a very young age, my parents were like, you need to know how lucky you are to be so close to New York City. And that's also why I stayed in New York. I told them that if I ever want to change industries, if I want to change my job, there really is no other city than New York for me to be in to do that. So anyway, this was like a little get to know me. I loved that they asked these questions. There were other questions they had asked. They were a great group of students. So shout out to my professor's class. You guys asked really good questions, like really, really good questions. We had a great discussion, a great talk. And they also asked me some other things about my company, my job, which I'm not going to talk about. But these 3 questions really stood out. And I was like, wow, that'd be really good for a video. I'm going to end this because the battery on my camera, I think, is about to die. But thank you so much for watching. If you'd like me to talk about any other topics, let me know in the comments. I'm going to try and get on a schedule. I'm kind of testing out times and thumbnails and things like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Make sure to subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I will link it below. Bye.